Alright, boys, another day, another cut content from AniNews. Thank you so much, AniNews, once again, for the peak cut content. This one is called Subaru's Encounter with the Three Witches Explained. I'm down. Let's see what AniNews has for us today, man. That was an amazing episode, by the way. Today was a peak fucking episode. Let's fucking go.
There were quite a few important things that happened during Echidna's second tea party.
Yep.
Not only did Subaru find out the cause of return by death, but he also got to meet 3 more of the witches.
Yeah.
These were significant encounters that were a little bit streamlined in the anime. It's not like anything crucial to the plot was missed, but I'm sure that at least a few of you were confused with regards to what exactly happened with Typhon and Minerva.
Yep. I'm very interested to see more details on that for sure.
Plus, there was also greater context given for Daphne and the true purpose behind the existence of her 3 demon beasts. So, let's take a look at how these 3 encounters actually took place in the novels.
Let's go.
Let's begin. Episode 34.
Aishiteru. Oh shit. Jesus.
Covering the last 2 chapters of Volume 11 of the light novel. Subaru spent hours telling Echidna his lengthy story. A tale of life and death that he'd kept to himself his entire journey.
Wow.
During that time, Echidna made sure to give him all the attention that he needed. Never once did she interrupt, and never once did she make an effort to hurry him along.
Dude, Echidna's so peak so far. She's so nice. Am I getting gaslit right now? Am I getting tricked? Echidna's best. She's the best witch so far. Like, she's so understanding. She's just hearing Subaru out. Like, wow.
She simply gave him everything he needed so that he could comfortably share what it was he wanted to share. After he was done, they then started to talk about the Witch of Envy. Because Subaru's lingering suspicions had now been confirmed, he began to piece together why it was his encounters with Satella were becoming more vivid every time. He suspected that each iteration of return by death brought him closer to her, leading him down a path where he would eventually be unable to escape her grasp. It was a point in time that Subaru hoped would never come. Now, Subaru found it odd when Echidna said that she didn't want to understand Satella's actions.
Yeah.
She made it clear that her disdain towards the one who killed her was greater than her desire for knowledge.
Which is insane, yeah. Like, I mentioned that too. It's crazy that even the Witch of Greed, who's desperate, who like really wants to know everything, greedy for knowledge, doesn't even want to fucking know about her, bro.
So, this was one of the few moments where Echidna actually displayed her own personal feelings.
Yeah.
Something that Subaru found helped him to feel a sense of familiarity towards her. Slowly but surely, he was becoming more and more comfortable with the witch in front of him. In any case, Echidna tends to become a bit depressed whenever the Witch of Envy becomes the topic of conversation. So, she usually does her best to avoid that from happening, resulting in the quick change of topic to what was instead an open floor for Subaru to ask his questions.
Fair enough.
But before the ones that we see in the anime, Echidna first suggested that he ask if there was a way to remove his authority of return by death. A very interesting question for sure, but one that Subaru felt wasn't necessary. You see, he understood the importance of being able to return by death. Even though it had caused him so much agony, he knew that he wouldn't be where he was without it.
It's true. That's very true. I've mentioned this a lot. I've talked about a lot. Like, there's so many pros, but so many cons, man. Pros. You obviously return. You can try over and over again to get the good outcome. One attempt isn't the only thing you got. Obviously, the obvious cons, the horrible cons, the psychological pain, trauma, the horrible agony, pain, suffering, seeing other people die, obviously you yourself dying, the pain of you dying, the trauma that you go through. Like, even though it has so many cons, just that pro of like being able to attempt over and over again, it's just enough. It's enough, I guess. It's just horrible what he has to go through, man. Like, gotta feel bad for Subaru, man.
Not to mention that a lot more people would certainly be dead as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Subaru was able to acknowledge that return by death was his only weapon.
That's... But that's like a bad thing as well. He keeps seeing this shit as a tool, as a weapon. His only weapon. Which I get what he's trying to say here. But it's like, dude, you keep seeing this as a tool and a weapon, and it's gonna fuck you up, man. You're gonna lose the value of life, dude. You're losing the main point, which is the fact that you're playing with life and death itself. but at the same time, it's like I can kind of see what he's talking about. His only weapon being returned by death because he's not the strong. He doesn't have like magical powers other than like the whole shamak. Like he can't really fight. So this is his only quote unquote weapon. It's just the way he's looking at it. I don't know if I like that, man.
Which is why he instead decided to ask if there was a limit to the number of times that he could use it. It was also because Subaru was in search of an answer that he'd been longing for a while. You see, even after using Return by Death over 10 times,
that's crazy.
Subaru still always felt that perhaps this time or the next might just be his last. It was a natural fear that came from a lack of understanding of his own authority.
Which is fair. It's fair. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, the fear of just, yeah, cool, I can return by death, but how many times? What's the limit? What if the next time what if there's no next time? Like, yeah, and also the fact that, AniNews just mentioned 10 plus times he's died and returned by death. That is horrible. That's traumatizing. He's died 10 plus times. Like, oh my god, Subaru. And each time is so bad. Sometimes worse than the other. The fucking bunny one, my god.
So, after Echidna explained how his soul can go back in time as many times as needed, Subaru then asked the question of why. He wanted to know why it was he was given this power, to know what the meaning of it all really was. But something about the way that Subaru asked these questions triggered Echidna's curiosity. There was a certain tremble in his voice that made him seem as if he was afraid of finding out the answer, as if he was afraid of learning more about his own authority.
Damn.
Echidna couldn't understand why Subaru was afraid of the only thing that he could call his own. But what it was that she failed to see was that was actually the very reason why he was afraid.
Exactly.
He understood that Return by Death technically wasn't his own personal ability. I mean, it's not like he can use it to control his own fate or change every little thing that he wants to. It's more like someone else was determining his own fate for him.
Exactly. That was also mentioned. It was like how it says right there. Someone else was determining his own fate for him, not anyone else's. That's why the whole REM stuff, like going to sleep and shit, like that has nothing to do with like Return by Death. Like, okay, the misconception that I had, and pretty much confirmed now, is that I thought that the Witch of Envy was controlling everyone's fate, kind of determining everyone's fate, and kind of just had control of everything. No, she's just determining Subaru's fate specifically, and Subaru's technically the one in charge of having everything else try and go how he wants. Like the Witch of Envy's, Satella's only focus is Subaru, no one else.
And Subaru knew that could lead to situations that can't be undone.
Exactly.
So that's what Subaru was afraid of confirming. Now, the next question he asked was with regards to what was happening on the outside. Subaru wanted to make sure that he didn't just leave Amelia alone for an extended period of time. He wanted to make sure that she hadn't been suffering through the trial this entire time.
That would have been bad.
Lucky for him, Echidna explained that Amelia was likely fine. She mentioned how time in the outside world passed differently while in her castle of dreams.
Really? That's something I didn't know. Okay.
It didn't quite come to a complete stop, but it did pass slower than normal. Slow enough that the substantial time spent here wouldn't have a significant impact on the outside world.
That's cool.
This gave Subaru a slight sense of relief since he could now solely focus on what questions he wanted to ask next. Bringing us to the topic of the Great Rabbit Horde. Although Echidna's explanation was very thorough, there's a couple additional things to note about their behavior. The rabbits are creatures that are completely devoted to devouring every bit of life that it comes across. If no prey can be found, then the rabbits would resort to eating themselves so that they can continue to satiate their hunger.
Whoa! I mean, that does make a lot of sense, yeah. Like, what if there's like no life? Okay, yeah.
Infinitely multiplying in the process. This makes it a creature that doesn't need to rely on anything else but itself to survive. Exactly how Daphne intended it to be. When Echidna went on to suggest talking to Daphne, she also explained exactly how it was that the other witches' souls existed alongside hers. It's a story that goes back 400 years.
Oh.
Something that many of you may not know is that Echidna's soul was sealed away by the divine dragon Volcanica.
What? More lore. Yeah, didn't know this. Echidna's soul was sealed away by the divine dragon Volcanica? Okay.
The very same dragon that the Dragon Kingdom of Lagunica refers to.
Oh, right! Wait, this is crazy lore. Excuse me? Run it back a little bit.
Lagunica refers to. But before this dragon destroyed her body and sealed her soul away for all eternity, Echidna first gathered the souls of all the other witches into her own flesh, allowing them to exist alongside her in her castle of dreams. They're basically an amalgamation of souls that now reside within Echidna.
An amalgamation of souls that now reside within Echidna. That makes so much sense. That's why, like, the whole switching between them, teleporting technically. Okay.
But the reason she was so hesitant to give any of them time in the spotlight was because not all of them may act as passively as she does. It was very likely that if Subaru treated any of them the wrong way, then they could very easily lash out in a dangerous manner. She was pretty much implying that all the other witches were very temperamental. That's not to say that they didn't get along well with each other though. Quite the opposite actually. Since they saw each other as equals, the witches had no problem being friendly towards each other. But Subaru, on the other hand, was just a mere human, a position that the other witches likely saw as inferior. It's because of this that Echidna wasn't sure how they'd react to Subaru's behavior, especially if he acted in the same nonchalant manner that he always did. But as we saw, that was a risk that he was more than willing to take.
High risk, high reward.
So, first came Typhon.
Typhon.
When Echidna portrayed having a
Oh, Typhon. I say Typhon. Oops. Oopsie. Yeah, it's Typhon. That's how you say it. Typhon. Okay.
So, first came Typhon.
Typhon.
When Echidna portrayed having a discussion with the other witches as some difficult battle, Subaru didn't think that she meant that in the sense of having to deal with little kids.
Literally, like,
but
what?
That was exactly what he was thinking when he saw the little girl sitting in front of him. So, to make sure that this child understood the circumstances of the situation, Subaru first asked if she knew what was going on. Typhon said that she was able to hear everything from inside Echidna.
Yeah, exactly. All the souls were... That's crazy! That's such a crazy detail, man. Wow.
Also meant that it was likely that all the other witches could as well.
Everyone's listening in.
That being the case, Typhon more or less understood what it was that Subaru wanted to know. But before he could ask about the rabbit, Typhon first wanted to get some answers of her own, leading us into the whole situation with Subaru's arm being torn off.
This is cursed. This is crazy. Look at her! Smiling, holding his fucking arm. What the fuck is this illustration? Holy fuck, that's terrifying.
One thing to note was that Subaru didn't actually feel any pain at all.
Yeah, I remember that.
Nothing felt different to him in any way whatsoever. Even though he saw all the blood, bone, and arteries that constituted the inner layer of his severed arm, there was no sensation that could be felt alongside it. It was that abnormality that led Subaru to scream out in shock.
Yeah, he was screaming in shock because of the fact that he doesn't feel any pain. His arm is gone. Like, that's fucking terrifying.
He just couldn't make sense of the situation that he found himself in. But this wasn't something that Typhon did without purpose. She took the arm as compensation for his sins.
Compensation for his sins. There it is. Yeah, that's why she took... Okay.
Using it as a measure to determine whether he was good or bad. Because he felt no pain, Typhon then said that he shall not be among the condemned. Basically confirming the answer that she set out to find.
Exactly.
But that didn't stop Subaru's body from continuing to shatter. This was a direct effect of Subaru viewing himself as a sinner. He personally felt that he had a guilty conscience even though there was nothing he was guilty of.
Yeah, exactly. That was also mentioned in the anime. Subaru's just a good soul. He's such a good person, man. Like, he technically hasn't sinned, but he views himself as a sinner. Man, Subaru, bro.
And that meant that his spiritual body would continue to shatter until there was nothing left but dust.
Oh my god.
Even though he felt no pain, having his body disintegrate into nothing would likely make him think that he had died for real, thus leaving an irreversible imprint on his soul.
Exactly. Yeah, that was. I think that was also kind of mentioned. Yeah, that is horrible, bro. The fact that you can't die, but you'll pretty much you can become even dust, but you won't die.
Lucky for him, Minerva came out just in time to prevent that from happening.
Thank you, Minerva.
As Subaru lay helplessly while his soul continued to receive wounds that rivaled death, Minerva began to strike the dissolving remains of Subaru's body. The whole experience for him was extremely surreal. It was as if she had reached into his very soul, grabbed him by the neck, then dragged him away from the darkness of death, bringing with it his spiritual body in the process. She had pretty much used her fists to prevent Subaru's soul from becoming dust in a dream, restoring his soul back to how it formerly was. Once Subaru was back in one piece, the very first thing that he noticed about Minerva was her very appealing figure. It was purely an accident when the first thing his eyes made contact with was her breasts.
Really, Subaru? Okay, I guess, bro. Now this is some peak content. Like, I needed to know this. Okay.
First about Minerva was her very appealing figure.
Okay.
It was purely an accident when the first thing his eyes made contact with was her breasts.
Aimbot.
Of course, this didn't really sit too well with Minerva, but she didn't try to destroy his soul like how Typhon did. She simply complained for a bit, then went on to rant about how angry she was at Typhon.
Yeah.
When she later went on to introduce herself, she wasn't supposed to say that her name wasn't worth giving like how she did in the anime.
Oh.
Instead, she was supposed to say that no one was worthy of invoking it.
Okay. No one is worthy of invoking her name. Not, okay. Not my name isn't worth giving, as if she's saying, like, okay, that makes more sense. Yeah.
Instead, she was supposed to say that no one was worthy of invoking it.
Okay.
A difference in context that defines Minerva's character slightly differently. In any case, she then went on to state how she had completely healed every part of Subaru's soul. In fact, she was so confident in her ability to do so that she declared it a witch's promise. Words that not just anyone could toss around sparingly. So that's how Subaru knew that Minerva was serious.
Okay.
Anyway, the whole experience with Typhon then Minerva was completely absurd.
Yeah.
I mean, Subaru just found himself to be completely broken then healed both within the span of a few moments.
That's fucking crazy. These witches are too strong, bro. These powers are wild.
Not only that, but both were situations in which he could do nothing about. So because of these unexpected turn of events, Echidna decided to reappear right after Minerva had left. She felt the need to explain what it was that Subaru had just experienced, as well as reconfirm Subaru's resolve to talk to Daphne. Knowing that Typhon left him in a state similar to death, Echidna wanted to make it clear that Daphne was even more dangerous than that.
Yeah.
So if Subaru chose to continue with the conversation, then there was no telling what kind of wretched state that Daphne would leave him in. Now, with regards to Minerva, she was identified to be the witch that Subaru would be the safest with.
Oh!
So if Minerva was considered safe and Typhon was considered very dangerous, then on this makeshift scale of risk, you'd only find Camilla and Daphne to be more dangerous than Typhon.
Camilla? We haven't seen Camilla yet, right? I don't think so. We haven't seen Camilla yet in the anime. That's how she. Wait, this is so fucking cool, bro. This lore shit, bro. ReZero lore is so fucking interesting, bro. I don't think we've seen Camilla yet. I'm pretty sure. So hopefully we see her. Look at the scale. So, okay.
Only find Camilla and Daphne to be more dangerous than Typhon. That's what Echidna wanted Subaru to understand.
Okay.
But despite her grave warning, Subaru's resolve remained unhinged, bringing us now to the conversation with Daphne, which was surprisingly where most of the cut content for this episode comes from. The first bit was with regards to her coffin, a seemingly sentient and mobile Iron Maiden-styled coffin. This was the very first thing that caught Subaru's attention, so he immediately asked what it was that he was looking at. As it turns out, this was a little something of Daphne's own creation, something she likes to refer to as the centipede coffin.
Centipede coffin, her own okay.
It's an actual living creature that shares a mutually beneficial relationship with her.
Oh, it's an actual creature. Huh.
You see, because her movements are restricted by the restraints, Daphne created the coffin so that it could serve as her method of transportation. In exchange, the coffin gets to live off of Daphne's waste products, consuming things like her pee and sweat in order to survive.
Okay, that's one way to live. Huh.
It truly was quite the abnormal creature, but what Subaru found to be the most absurd was that Daphne had created it herself. It wasn't the fact that this coffin was alive or that it ate other people's waste that shocked Subaru.
It was the fact that she created it.
It was the fact that Daphne could create life itself. She possessed a power that rivaled that of a veritable god.
Aqua? I haven't watched Konosuba in so long, man. Like, the one time I watched Konosuba was 2021. I think 2022, around there. It's been a very long time, 3 or 4 years. I only watched 2 seasons. I didn't watch the movie or the 3rd season. And it's been so long, I don't remember anything of Konosuba, man. I pretty much remember like nothing. Only like some funny moments here and there of Kazuma. Hey, maybe in the future we react to Konosuba. I don't know. Maybe. But I like the little reference there. That's pretty cool, man. So pretty much her power to create life itself is fucking crazy. I think that's a crazy power to have. That's insane. You create life itself. Dude, I ain't gonna lie. This is hype. This is hype. This entire lore of the wishes and stuff is so fucking interesting. Especially what happened in the last episode where we actually met Satella. My god, yeah, this is absolute cinema. Let's go.
Possessed a power that rivaled that of a veritable god. Yet here she was not thinking much of the act at all. To her, it was nothing more than just second nature. That's why she didn't think much about the 3 demon beasts she created either.
Wow.
They were just some of her own personal creations that just so happened to leave her side all on their own. Now, Subaru tried his best to understand the logic behind Daphne's whole perspective on fairness in the food chain. But no matter how much he tried, he simply couldn't. The thing is, her premise was actually very simple. The strong eat the weak.
The strong eat the weak?
That was a form of logic that humans simply couldn't abide by.
Yeah, that's why when she mentioned that, bro, that was such an interesting way to put it. Like, yeah, the strong eat the weak, dude. Like, she pretty much made those, like she put those beasts into the world. And she out here saying, hey, I gave y'all something to eat, bro, just eat them. Well, most people can't, because there's the fucking 3 mob beasts, the ones that she created are too strong, bro. Like, for someone to actually eat those things, like, they have to be so strong, bro. Like, what, Reinhardt fucking equivalent people have to eat, like, are the only ones who can eat that shit? Like, what?
They couldn't abide by. Subaru believed that this was a way of thinking that should be reserved for the animals, not for humans.
Yeah.
It was while thinking this that Subaru finally came to understand what Echidna meant when she said that Daphne was dangerous. She wasn't a person that could be reasoned with. In fact,
that's crazy.
It was very hard to even consider her a person at all. The difference in values between a normal person and her were just far too great.
Yeah, the difference is just abnormal. It's disgusting. Yeah, she's something else, man. Don't fuck with her, bro.
If anything, Daphne was a true witch through and through.
Yeah, I think Daphne is the true definition of a witch. Like, when I be like true definition of a witch, it's like when you hear of the term witch, or like when I heard of the term witch in this anime for the first time, I automatically think of like an evil being. Like someone who's truly fucking evil. Or like, maybe not truly fucking evil, but has twisted values, twisted ways of thinking. I think Daphne is the perfect representation of what I was thinking. It's definitely not Echidna. When I thought of witches in this fucking world, I was not thinking of anything at all related to Echidna, bro. Echidna's something else, man.
Her extreme unwavering values had been more than enough to confirm that for Subaru.
Yeah. Or Minerva. Minerva was also a fucking curveball. She's out here just piecing people back together. Like, she's chill too. I don't know.
But why was it that she had these extreme values in the first place? Well, the reason for that is actually quite intriguing. As Daphne herself explains, the sin of gluttony is the only sin connected to life itself. Out of all the others, even if you're deprived of peace or love or your own personal desires, that's something that you still won't die from. But if you're deprived of the ability to eat, then you no longer possess one of the core elements that's required to sustain life.
Correct.
Yes, gluttony does mean craving food beyond what is necessary, but Daphne seems to interpret it in a different way. She personally believes that it's to crave the food that's necessary to live.
She personally believes it's to crave the food that's necessary to live. It's not just craving food for the sake of craving food, gluttony, like the actual, she believes it's to crave the food that's necessary only to live. What an interesting way to look at it, okay.
So if you reconsider her values from that perspective, then everything she's been saying starts to make a little bit more sense.
For sure.
She doesn't care for typical human values. All she cares about is solving her own hunger and the hunger that persists throughout the world. So it makes sense that someone who thinks like that also believes that all things should have an equal chance to satiate their hunger. I mean, that's exactly what she represents. It's for that reason that Subaru couldn't quite refute any of her words. As for why it was she made the beasts, Well, that was one of the solutions to her persistent hunger. It was her literal desire to eat that birthed these rabbits into existence.
Crazy.
That's why they too also feel the same empty stomach that she does. Their purpose was to be a sort of emergency ration so that Daphne would have food whenever no other prey could be found.
Okay, wow. Truly, emergency rations. Who was that one? There was one person who commented, yo, I like to drink tea and eat rabbits, I think, while watching your videos. Bro, what? Excuse me? Yo, emergency rations being these fucking rabbits is fucking crazy, though. What?
She basically created her own self-sufficient, never-ending source of food.
That's one way.
A feat that was quite fitting for the Witch of Gluttony.
Very fitting.
Aside from those extra bits of information, the rest of the encounter with Daphne was pretty much the same, leading us into the final scenes with Echidna. It was here that the events with Typhon were brought back into the conversation. Echidna was using it as a preface to talk about how Subaru lacked quite a bit of self-awareness, specifically with regards to how even after Typhon had shattered his body into bits and pieces, he would likely still be capable of having a calm and collected conversation with her. He saw no problem with being able to sit down and chat with her as if she hadn't just attempted to shatter the very integrity of his soul.
That's Subaru.
Yeah, that wasn't normal.
Yeah, that's not normal
Regardless
at
of
all.
whether they'd been fully healed or not, no normal person would be able to do that.
No normal person will be able to go through those experiences and be like, all right, so anyway, where were we? And just continue the conversation like nothing happened. Subaru is such an interesting character. Very complex. Complex in the way that, like, what he feels, his emotions, his way of thinking. Like, there's so many things about Subaru's character that are so fucking interesting. And that's definitely one of them. No normal person would be able to just be torn apart, healed back up, go through that crazy experience, and just, like, sit down and be like, all right, we good now? Let's have some tea. Damn.
Without a doubt, they would bear a grudge towards the witch that had made an attempt on their soul.
Exactly.
Subaru, on the other hand, simply accepted it as an action from his past, then moved on. He didn't even bother to give the events a second thought up until now. This was the foundation behind what Subaru wasn't aware of. He wasn't—
That's what he's lacking self-awareness in. Wow. I mean, yeah, that is Subaru's issue, as it says right here in the in the video thing. Wow.
He didn't even bother to give the events a second thought up until now.
It's crazy.
This was the foundation behind what Subaru wasn't aware of. He wasn't aware of his abnormal mental state that allowed him to simply disregard the fact that someone tried to kill him. It was yet another aspect of Subaru's mind that Echidna wanted to understand, which is why she brought the issue into the conversation. As it continued onto the topic of Amelia's trial, Echidna stated how she no longer saw the need to monitor it.
Yeah, because she sucks. Amelia just can't pass it, so Echidna doesn't even have to fucking pull up. To finish off that point, I think that's the scariest part of Subaru's mental state right now. It's like he's forgetting the true value of life. What it means to die. What it means to lose your life. Go and like all that. Dude, it's such a fucking crazy concept. Like, Season 1, we saw him very emotional. And it seems like in Season 2, it's like the opposite. It's such an interesting, like, it's like a difference of views and of like Subaru's character. Both of these seasons, very different, very different.
To clarify what she meant, she was basically saying that she already knew what the outcome was.
Yep, she
She
fails.
had looked into Subaru's memories and seen that it was impossible for her to beat the trial within the next 3 days.
Oh. Well, that's a cool little detail. She looked into Subaru's memories and pretty much just knows. So that's actually the main reason. It's just she fucking knows that it's impossible for it, that Amelia in the next couple of days is gonna pass it. Huh.
Possible for her to beat the trial within the next 3 days. And even if she was given more than 3 days to try again,
She's gonna
the
fail.
Great Rabbit would just end up killing everyone
Or-
after the 3rd day anyway.
Or that. Yeah. Jesus, this is horrible. How the fuck are we supposed to... Subaru last episode, like, pretty much brought up a list of all the things he has to fucking take care of. The rabbit, the Great Rabbit, the mansion, fucking Satella now, the Garfield stuff. There's so much, the Amelia stuff. There's so much stuff going on, man. Like, how are we gonna be able to pretty much lock in and just solve everything? That's gonna be hard, bro. Fuck.
So Echidna saw no point in witnessing an event to which she already knew the outcome. This meant that the only option was for Subaru to do the trial in her place, something that Subaru had already committed to doing in the last loop. It was actually the first step in the overall plan that Subaru had pieced together. He decided he was going to break through the trial, liberate Sanctuary, then go to the mansion and use Beatrice's power to fight off the attackers.
I guess that's the plan. Yeah?
The only problem with this plan was a certain giant tiger.
Literally.
Subaru knew that his interactions with Garfield were only going to get worse and worse. I mean, the more times he dies, the greater the miasma around his body.
Dude, if he keeps fucking dying, that miasma is gonna be fucking disgusting. It's gonna be so much. Dude, Garfield, it could get to a point where Subaru just comes back and literally frame one, Garfield fucking kills him or something, because that miasma is gonna be so strong.
And that would only make Garfield act more and more hostile around him.
Exactly.
So Garfield was very clearly the biggest obstacle that Subaru currently had to overcome. Now, at the end of the tea party, Echidna took what was pretty much Petra's feelings as compensation.
Yeah, that's okay. If you put it like that, bro, this sentence alone made me understand that scene completely. Yeah, that's it. She pretty much just took Petra's feelings as compensation. The payment, that's the payment. That's fucked up. Jesus.
This was intentionally left pretty vague in order to leave us unsure as to what Echidna was doing.
Okay.
She may have only said that it was to confirm the existence of those feelings, but the second part about being able to interfere with them was what really should grab our attention.
Facts.
But yeah, that was pretty much the end of the second tea party.
Okay.
And the next parts with Subaru leaving the tomb was pretty much the same. One thing that I will say though is that the post-credit scene did pretty well to capture the uncanny nature of Roswaal's death.
Dude, facts, dude! That is fucking crazy! Bro, he died, he was dying, and bro said, Subaru, you did so many mistakes. I'm interested to see what happens next. Obviously they didn't say it like that, but something along those lines. That's fucking hype. That just confirms it. He fucking knows, man.
Although it didn't seem like it, it's safe to assume that those shadows actually hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, they're supposed to erode whatever it is they come into contact with. It's just that Roswaal didn't care that his body was being eroded by it. So...
Oh my god. Yeah, okay. It does hurt. They actually hurt, but he just didn't give a fuck. Cause why? He's gonna be fine. Yo, this is crazy fucking... Okay.
Supposed to erode whatever it is they come into contact with.
Oh my god.
It's just that Roswaal didn't care that his body was being eroded by it. So, after the shadows had fully consumed him, all that was left was the book that he was holding. Everything else sank into darkness and vanished, bringing us to the end of the episode.
Wow.
So, I hope that with this video you were able to better understand what exactly happened with each of the witches.
Hell yeah, man.
I figured that it might be important for events that come a little bit later. But anyway,
alright,
that's pretty much it for episode 9.
Peak!
So don't forget to leave a like or comment if you enjoyed the video.
Peak! God, what an amazing cut content. The last one was so good. And this one as well. It's like, these cut contents are coming in clutch. Like, really in clutch. Because season 2, you guys mentioned that they kind of had to condense a lot of things. And it's also a very detailed and very deep arc, and also the fact that it's like the length of it is very long. So cut content coming in clutch for sure. Now, amazing cut content. Before we continue, there is one more like cut content thing that I skipped over last video, because I literally forgot, you know, to the person who told me that I could pretty much watch them and it doesn't really matter. Thank you for reminding me. I completely forgot that like those spoiler cards, I could watch them. You guys will let me know if there's like a really major one coming up. So let's go back to that real quick, and that should be it for today's video.
Couldn't seem.
All right, we're back.
And one that he'd certainly never
here, right?
More about information that's covered.
This
in
one, right here, right here.
So if you don't want to know more about Beatrice's pact, then feel free to skip ahead to the following timestamp.
Let's go.
But anyway, Subaru wanted to understand the pact that led Beatrice to staying in the mansion. Up until now, he assumed that it was something that Beatrice made with Roswaal in order to protect the archive of the forbidden books. But that actually wasn't the case at all.
Yeah, I think someone mentioned that. Someone mentioned it's not because of that.
No pact or vow or covenant existed between Beatrice and Roswaal. No, The only reason these two were under the same roof was because their interests just so happened to coincide with each other.
Oh.
The pact that led Beatrice to guarding the archive of the forbidden books was created by herself and someone else. A person whose identity Roswaal wasn't able to disclose. If Subaru wanted to know who it was, then he would have to go and ask Beatrice herself.
Just ask her. This whole, like, ask her, ask him, the shit that they do to each other is so fucking annoying. God, it's like literally going in circles.
So, yet again, Roswaal was leading Subaru down this circular path. He was always telling Subaru to go and get his answers from Beatrice. Then Beatrice would just respond by telling him to get his answers from Roswaal.
Yeah, everything after this we watched. Because I think he said that it's up to 8:54, right? Yeah, everything else we watched. Okay. Yeah, the whole, like, they're going in circles, Subaru going in circles thing as well. Yeah, I remember that. Okay, well, now that is officially it for today's cut content video. Thank you so much, AniNews. Shout out to you, man. Thank you so much for these cut contents, man. Peak, man. Well, if you're new, subscribe. Leave a like down below. That's gonna be it for today's video. The full uncut version to all ReZero content will be on Patreon. As always, have a good day, and I'll see you guys next time. See you guys.